original project was titled Shakespeare in the Park, and it would have been an open-air theatre event that over the course of an afternoon was designed to bring Shakespeare's world to life in an interactive and immersive way.
Our play turned into a radio play whilst in lockdown due to our current situation. So we were kind of prepared for this. We'd sort of done some training in it already before because we'd already released a radio play in first year, so we kind of knew the kind of ropes and we all kind of knew what we were going to have to do and how we were going to do it. But obviously we had to record it in a very different way because obviously we couldn't just go straight to a recording studio like we did in year one.
So at the beginning of the project we were told about the role of assistant director and that there would be one for Romeo and Juliet and one for Much Ado About Nothing. I wanted to apply to be an AD because personally I've had a few different ideas about which career path that I want to go down, and being a director is certainly one of them. So when I first saw that we were going to be having assistant directors, the idea kind of really sat with me, and I really thought it could be an opportunity to actually experience what it would be like.
So I applied to be an AD because I've always been really interested in directing just as much as acting, and I just thought this would be a really good opportunity to be able to build my directorial portfolio.
When we were told we got AD, it was planning straight away from there. There was no really breaks because obviously we had to, when we first got it, it was going to be a play, so we started blocking the first scene out of each play, which was left to us. So I think that was kind of a challenge that Alan just gave to us.
So then came all the different tasks that we had to do as ADs. So we've had to figure out what sound effects we were wanting in each scene of both plays. We had to figure out who we wanted to be the MDs, the musical directors for both plays as well. We also had to figure out press release. We also have to figure out what else we're going to be doing with the play, how are we going to market it.
So I've never actually directed any kind of Shakespeare piece, which I thought would be a really kind of challenging thing to actually take on, which it has, because Shakespeare's hard. So it's been a real challenge, but it's been really, really fun actually learning the ins and outs of it.
I think we've had to work quite hard to keep up with everything, keep up with the rehearsals, keep up with everyone's character, keep up with the context. But that I think we've all really enjoyed it and it's been really fun.
So leading our first rehearsal was so nerve-wracking, genuinely.
We're actually able to hold one rehearsal before we went into lockdown, and that was without Alan being there, so it was just the three of us.
Our director kind of said to us that he wasn't able to be in the rehearsal, that we had to lead it entirely by ourselves. He asked us to get scene 1 of Romeo and Juliet and scene 1 of Much Ado About Nothing both up on their feet with a basic blocking to them and a rough kind of shape to them. So I remember the entirety of that week leading up to the rehearsal, me and Sarah were chatting pretty much every day, I think, kind of discussing ideas and making sure that we knew both of those scenes inside and out. We knew everything that was going on with them because we just wanted to help the company as much as possible.
Which was stressful because obviously we'd never done it before and it was kind of oh no, I think it was just a kind of a challenge to that. But I think we had fun and it was interesting to see how it was going to end up.
We got a taste of what being an AD was like and how serious our job role actually would be, so it was a really good thing to actually get the ball rolling that early in the process. So I'm really glad that that did happen.
The rehearsal process that we do is we will usually go through the context first, which we did when we were in the building, so we did read through and we went through the context and really understood the play. But what we do now is we go through the scene before we read it, or just after we've done a read through, and we go through the lines and make sure everyone knows exactly what they're saying and what exactly thing means and things like that. And then we'll do read throughs, and then we'll do character analysis and really think about where characters have just been and where they're going and what they're really thinking of in that moment.
So as we've all had to adapt to performing at home in lockdown, I think we've all kind of discovered that relying on voice alone is hard. I am so used to having movement and proxemics to help me portray an emotion, but it isn't actually until you strip all of that away that you realise how versatile your voice actually is. So not having any blocking or anything has allowed all of us, I think, to really hone in on what we do with our voices naturally in our day-to-day lives to convey emotion, and how we can actually translate that to our characters to then create a believable performance without actually seeing it.
Which some of us found difficult. I personally found that difficult because I like to use body language and facial expressions a lot more during acting, so this was kind of harder for me, definitely.
Recording ourselves at home has been a bit of an odd experience. Everyone is obviously working with different spaces and different equipment and different setups, and so to get as clear audio as we possibly can, we're having to do some kind of weird stuff.
Alan made us a little video to follow, which basically showed us how to make our own little fort kind of thing, and like it was like that you could go in a cupboard or something and you could put blankets up against the wall so there wasn't noise bouncing around, and like you wanted to go in like the quietest place possible, and then you had to have your phone about like it was like one, whatever this measurement is, but away from your like mouth and voice and stuff like that to get the clearest of sound. And then you had to have like your laptop on Zoom where we were doing the rehearsal and have your like AirPods or earphones in to listen to what they were saying whilst the phone picked up everything you were recording. So it was a really smart way of doing it, and it's probably the best way we could have done it, because I think if we recorded it through Zoom it probably wouldn't have sounded the best.
It was really helpful because now I actually know how to like properly record stuff at home without getting any like back noise or anything.
My setup is in my mum's wardrobe, and I'm surrounded by blankets and pillows and anything I can to kind of pad out any background noise and to make sure that I'm just picking up my audio. And you know, I know some of my friends are sitting in their rooms with duvets over their heads to try and pad out that extra sound as well, because it is so important to deaden any sound around you so that the only audio you're picking up is yourself. Otherwise it messes levels up and everything like that. So that's probably the most important aspect of it.